Is it a secured loan? However you are finding this money, the money comes at a cost. If it's your own money and the business doesn't work, you have lost all your money. If it's money from a family and your business doesn't work, you have damaged the relationship between yourself and your family member. That is very risky. Then you also look, is it a friend? At what cost are they giving me this money? Am I going to be able to pay back this money at that cost? You need to pay a lot of attention to your funding and the sources of funds. Then you look at your operating plan. Because as you start, you need to make projections. My capacity will be, maybe I can, if you are I want to invest in farming, and I'm thinking, after I've borrowed all this money and I've planted the 1 acre of tomato, my first harvest should give me so many boxes of tomato. Lo and behold, you don't make that. How do you now pay back your loans? So those are some of the considerations that we need to make, but also we can put in the projections, because we'll say we planned that we'll have 400 of boxes a month for the next 6 months, and we're assuming the box of tomato will cost 120 minimum in the next 2-3 months, and our expenses are only so little. We have 10 workers, we have pesticides, we have this. So we projected that we'll make so much money. So the bank, when they're trying to give you money, they look at your projected income, your cash flow statements, your budgets, and all sorts of things, and then they will determine whether they can lend you the money, take the risk to give you the money, because what you show in there as to be your expected activity will determine whether the project is worth investing in or not. So the third part was money and finances, which we have just alluded to now. We need to be careful about our sources of finance. Where are we finding this money that we are putting in the business? Bank loans usually are very expensive. So as a startup, you need to negotiate carefully and properly how much interest you can get, and how you can service that interest is up to you by looking at your projected income statement, the balance sheets, the cash flow statements, the operating statements, and so on. So funding is very critical for a startup. So should you settle to borrow, it is noteworthy to develop a solid business plan, including total funding requirements and running costs for the first few months. Develop a financing plan including identified funding sources. Also identify and approach financial institutions in your area. Obtain loan quotations with terms and conditions of the loan. Because sometimes we run to get loans, and because they told you it will be 5%, you start thinking, okay, 5%, I can afford it. But that 5% is a lot for a startup, because you are probably just breaking even before you put in that 5% interest charge. So when you've got all these quotations and you've visited the banks, go back and check your business plan. So now you know how much borrowing from the bank will cost you. So now you push in that interest element in your projected income statement. Then see how the bottom line reacts, how the changes come in. Then if you can't afford that interest, find plan B for sourcing your income. After looking at the sourcing of funds, and we settle for that, we can also look at the financial plan. The financial planning is the task of determining how business will afford to achieve its strategic goals and objectives. The financial plan describes each of these activities: the resources, the equipment, the materials that are needed to achieve these objectives, as well as the time frame involved. Because you can't just plan that we're going to buy this equipment, you must know, when are we buying this equipment? If you're in manufacturing and you open the company, you bring all the employees, but the core